So I'm sure you know by now, Lazer is the next major update to OS. Last year, developers like this dude,
I am recording now,
were focused on getting ranked play in Lazer, and now they're focused on... yeah, there is no focus, so we're gonna decide what comes next, but before that, we have a changelog to cover, along with this dot.
Removing the dot in the O. Yeah, based on the results of the poll, I think the majority has spoken and it needs to go. I'm still not completely used to it, and it's like adding a bit too much design flavor to the logo, which was supposed to be very simple. And like if I compare the original logo beside that one, I still tend to prefer the original. So I don't think it's going to be just like, erase dot and we're done. It'll go through a few more iterations of design.
If you suck at this game, you'll be very familiar with an experience like this. In the new results screen, you can now see exactly why you suck thanks to these miss indicators. And you might also notice your PP being grayed out. This happens if you use a mod that's labeled as unranked, which is actually kind of confusing. Plays with unranked mods can show up on the ranked leaderboards, but that's a problem for another day. At least for now, PP is clear on the results screen. When loading a map in stable, you'll sometimes see things like this note or an epilepsy warning.
Now they display at the left-hand side of the screen rather than adding a delay to the gameplay starting. You can kind of move your mouse cursor over the text if you want to read it for longer, otherwise it just stays there for the standard loading time.
Similarly, Stable has this classic hit error meter, and Lazer improved it by adding some icons to indicate early versus late. Or at least Lazer tried. If you're confused by which icon means early and which one means late, it's not just you.
I'm pretty happy to get rid of, what did we have, a speedy truck and a bicycle. We had a lot of people being like, shouldn't a motorcycle be faster than a truck? Yeah, it was a bit ambiguous, so we've switched to the classic tortoise and hare custom designed icons as well, which is kind of nice. They have a bit of style to them.
And hey, even if it is still somehow confusing, at least you have the plain text option in the skin editor.
Yeah, that's already in, isn't it? I still would like to maybe have the early and late display for a bit at the start of gameplay, then fade away.
Before this update, unpausing in Taiko Catcher Mania would pretty much guarantee you a miss. As of today though, there's this new countdown with fancy sound effects by Nekodex.
In OS mode, you obviously had to reposition the cursor to the correct place before starting, but this gives you a bit of warning before the gameplay starts in the other rule sets. Something that was asked for quite a bit. I think it was asked for more in Lazer because the start was very abrupt. I think Stable had a pretty standard delay before gameplay started again.
I never would have noticed. I'm not pausing gameplay enough.
I think that's the correct way to play the game. I don't think you should be pausing in the first place.
Meanwhile, some of the highest PP plays have like strategic pausing for stamina.
Yes. I think at very least I want to see the pause count actually stored against the scores so we can show it on the results screen, just so people are aware of how many times people have done this.
So the biggest change from last update was probably medal support. You could earn medals in Lazer with the exception of these purple Hush Hush ones. Over the last month or so though, progress has been made on Hush Hush medals too, allowing you to, I guess, earn some of them?
Since the last release, we've got all the infrastructure in place for them. It's quite complex because, we need to keep them as a private code base while also feeding into the open source components. There's 118, I think, Hush Hush medals, and Spaceman has been working through them and found a lot of bugs, implementation bugs in the old code along the way. So it's been a bit of a rocky journey. We've been focusing in general on the ones which are easier to obtain, the ones which the majority of users have, just so that people going into the game can actually get the Hush Hush medals.
Welcome to us.
Previously on both Stable and Lazer, these main menu banners could only be shown one at a time. However, this change makes them much more functional. On the back end, multiple banners can be set at once. Yes, we use Discord for that. And for anyone looking at the main menu, these will now cycle every few seconds.
It's nice to see, things that are currently going on in the community. It's the place that gets the most visibility of anywhere on us, really.
On the performance side of things, there's two big changes. First, just look at this FPS difference. The editor handles certain conditions like a zoomed out timeline or lots of timing points much better now. And second, there are some experimental renderers to try out. I don't really know what they do, so Smoogi, the developer who made this happen, explained it a bit.
I was gonna write a script for this, but that didn't end up happening. You shouldn't expect FPS gains, but if you have any sort of breakage, for example, spiky frames or texture corruption on macOS, it could help with that. Some GPUs also don't behave correctly with Direct3D. To get Direct3D to perform as well as it does right now, we've added a few hacks. It's using kind of undefined behavior, so this is not using any of that. It's just doing it a little bit more naturally as expected by the GPU.
So if I don't have performance problems, these renders might not make that big of a difference.
Yeah, pretty much. I would even suggest, even if you don't have any problems, to try them out. We really need more comments about like how different hardware behaves. And you may find that it behaves better for you, or if you get worse FPS, then that's kind of important for us as well. Yeah, I would just encourage everyone to try out the experimental renderers.
Shifting away from performance, here's a few quick changes. By default, this thing will save your password. You can filter by multiple statuses in song select, like if you want to see both ranked and loved maps. And Lazer now supports Discord multiplayer invites.
One caveat is that Discord lobbies, you have to specify a max player count, and because in Lazer there is, in theory, no maximum player count, we've just set that to something like 1024. So if anyone hits that limit with a lobby, let us know and we can increase it again. That is a challenge from me, by the way.
There's one more change I wanted to mention. This ensures broken rule sets don't cause Lazer to crash. I imagine most Lazer players nowadays aren't really affected by this though, because it feels like people don't even know it's possible to have more than 4 modes in Lazer.
We put so much effort into making these systems modular and supporting custom rule sets, so we really do need to do something about them, like list them officially in some way sooner rather than later, before all the custom rule sets developers just disappear.
Anyway, let's talk about the title, the next step for Lazer. This update isn't really packed with many major features, and part of why is because there isn't a specific goal that the core development team is aiming for.
Lazer is in a very good place right now, and that's why we're having trouble, is we've got everything to a pretty good state. People aren't complaining so much about the stuff they used to be complaining about, so finding a next focus is getting more difficult. The team dynamics during the PP release were pretty good, like having everyone work on a single task seemed to be quite fun, engaging for all of us on the dev team. I do want to aim for making that happen again.
So to get a better idea of what developers could focus on, this list was made. It basically covers broad things that might make it even more worthwhile to play Lazer. For some people, implementing PP for rate adjust mods is worthwhile enough, but for others, potentially you, something bigger might make Lazer worth it, like an actually innovative editor, or a completely new system for score farming competition, or multiplayer elo ratings, or literally anything else.
I think people want to, this includes myself, I want to see more stuff which engages the community, both on like a high level competitive scene, but also for the casual players. And I'm thinking, my thought would be like for people to think outside the box of what they want to see. Like if anyone has a super crazy idea for some kind of new system, or like an idea of how we can make seasonal leaderboards work well, then we are definitely all ears.
So I assume you're talking about the people watching this. How do you want to get their feedback? Like, are you going to run a poll with some popular features, or you want people to just write in the YouTube comments?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, maybe. Yeah, maybe doing the comments thing before I make the first poll would be best for me, because then I actually have something to draw from for the poll, rather than putting something out there that everyone's like, I don't want any of this. There's more important stuff to us.
Okay, so here's the path forward. Comment about what new system or feature you'd like to see, or just upvote anything you agree with. Developers will then read your ideas to gauge what the community wants, and from there, most likely make a poll to establish the next step for Lazer. And that's it.